Kairi Minasan. Today we're gonna talk about Kamen Rider Geats episode 18. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode. The camera work is on point with how they are throwing the ball, and we actually follow the perspective of the ball and fly to another player and all those stuff. Actually, this is really easy to be done nowadays. Just use a 360 camera, attach it to a ball, and you can just shoot it, or maybe you can kind of like shoot an arrow or something like that, and the 360 camera can fly towards the other player, or maybe they can just use some sort of kind of like a string shot. They can push the camera to the other player, so it actually seems like they are throwing the ball, but actually in fact they actually push the camera, or there's a little bit of wire work in play here. Another possibility on how this could actually be done is just CG, okay? They are not even throwing the ball. The camera just kind of like follow their movement a little bit and all those stuff. So I really love the camera work. The special effect here is on point. They actually make it really creatively and really engaging for me to watch in this episode. So that is a really amazing thing that I really enjoy. Another thing about this episode that I really enjoy is the interview session of different participants of the DGP. It literally felt like we are watching a reality TV show. Like it reminds me a little bit of MasterChef, if you know what I mean. Like every single time when we look at MasterChef, there's a little bit of commentary from the player, from the participants itself, mentioning what they are actually thinking at that moment, and what they are actually going through in their mind at that moment. Even though we don't actually get a lot of interview session here, but I'm seeing that there is a possibility in the future that we're gonna see more of this interview session as well. So very amazing stuff here. But the next thing we need to talk about here is Daichi, okay? Daichi Isuzu, the Sparrow, is very sus in this episode. I actually make a video talking about how it is very predictable that Sparrow or Lopo to be the disaster, and I don't want them to be the disaster. So after seeing what happened in this episode, I really felt like, damn, I could be wrong. Daichi could actually be the disaster here, but I still have a strong feeling that he is not the disaster, even though what did he do to Keiwa seems very sus. At first, he approached Keiwa asking him what is wrong and all those stuff, and now he actually uses that to mind wash, to actually manipulate the player into believing that, hey, Keiwa is actually the disaster, because he actually did not fight against the Jyamato itself. So this is really interesting stuff. If Daichi turns out to be the disaster, I would say it is a very sad stuff, but at the same time, I still want to believe that Keiwa is actually secretly the disaster, despite his main sponsor, his biggest fan of Keiwa, did not actually believe that Keiwa could actually be the disaster. I still have a feeling that, hey, maybe there's a way for Keiwa to be a disaster, and that has to do with something that we learned from the movie itself. The movie Winter Battle Royale between Geats and Revice actually teases us with the idea that maybe Keiwa has a dark side inside of him that he never showed anyone, or maybe he just seems too pure and too holy, you know, like Keiwa seems too good, and there has to be like all of his negative emotion has to go somewhere, and because he seems too imbalanced as a character, and in order for someone to be balanced, he needs to have a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, okay? So we believe that Keiwa is having a bipolar disorder, or maybe like he's like pushing down all of his negative emotion into one side and causing him to birth another personality inside of him. I am not sure how is this possible, but anything is possible, okay? So he is the Tanuki. He can even, like, the best liar lies even to themselves. It's kind of like Kira, okay? Like from Yagami Light, if you watch the anime of Death Note, he convinced L that he's not Kira by convincing himself that he is not Kira. How crazy is that? So maybe we're seeing something similar, but with that being said, I'm really happy that the frog is finally in the picture. He actually meet up with Jin at the end of the episode. That is so fun. I really love that the frog is actually just a statue, just a patong. Okay, it's like it's not animated. They didn't make the effort to try to animate the frog, or they didn't even try to make the frog looks like it is a soft toy or something like that. It is legit full on a statue, and this actually makes me think a little bit, are we gonna see the frog moving at all? Like, is the frog only gonna be in that pose forever, or we are gonna see the frog in some other posture, something like that? Because if the frog itself is always gonna be a statue, then it actually gave me the idea that maybe the war that the frog came from is as a war of statue with a lot of souls in it. I do not know, but the frog looks really interesting, and I kind of want to see them trying to animate the frog a little bit to just give it a little bit more of a personality. But from the teaser that we know from the magazine, we know that the frog is gonna meet with Keiwa face to face. Maybe in the next episode we are gonna see the frog talking to Keiwa. It's like, bro, I am your biggest fan and you should not lose, okay? I don't want to see you lose, or something like that. And we also see that the frog actually give Keiwa secret mission. So you remember how I actually make a video not so long ago talking about how Keiwa always got the boost rise buckle is due to his bandana that is around his leg. Like, he give him kind of like a special ability, a special boost that he always get the boost rise buckle. After I see what is happening right here, I have a feeling that that might not be the case, okay? I really felt like Kekera is actually pumping money into Keiwa so that he is giving him a lot of secret mission, a lot of like just random secret mission that Keiwa would definitely go and did it in order for him to gain the boost rise buckle. And now in this episode, we actually get to see him receiving the twin command rise buckle from Kekera itself by Kekera giving Keiwa a secret mission, which is to save 3 civilians. So that is something really crazy. I really did not see this coming, but it is really interesting because everything in the DGP, we need to really rethink what do we actually know about the DGP right now. Like, who is the sponsors of Nago, who is the sponsors of S, who is the sponsors of Keiwa, and all of these things we need to think about, and we really need to understand what is going on. Okay, so with that being said, next thing I want to talk about is the Jyamato. So for those who don't understand the Jyamato, it is like what Sparrow say, it is basketball without the dribble. It's a little bit kind of like, if you really think about it, it is kind of like American football. Like, you just need to like get the ball and rush to the goal, and you cannot do a touchdown, but you need to shoot it. So that is the only difference. Really amazing stuff here from the Jyamato. And based on what we see, the biggest thing that happened in this episode that we really need to talk about is from the perspective of the Jyamato. But before we jump into the Jyamato, one last thing I want to talk about, and that is Ukiyo S. Based on what Jin told us in this episode, S has a mom, and the mom is actually called Ukiyo Mika, not Mitsune. So it is really interesting for us to actually see that, hey, S thinks that Mitsune is actually his mother instead of Ukiyo Mika. So I have a new theory on who S could actually be. Remember, I give the theory on how S is actually a secret child birth from the wishes of the DGP itself, but I think I could be right here, but I'm just gonna twist a little bit. What if S is a reincarnation of himself? You know, like S is a reincarnation of his previous self. Like, he said that he joined the DGP since the first AD, and he is not lying. Remember, one thing that I actually noticed when I was watching Kamen Rider Geats is that Ukiyo S never really lies. So When he says that he joined the DGP since first AD, he is not lying. But how is this possible that he is still so young and he has a different mother, Ukyo, Mika, and now he is still looking for his own mother? So the only possible explanation here is that I say that he joined DGP since the first AD is the truth, but that is his previous life before he got reincarnated as Ukyo S. So that's mean before Ukyo S become Ukyo S, he actually have another identity. We do not know what is his previous life name, but that previous life name, the mom is actually Mitsune. That is my theory right here. And maybe there's also kind of like a wish that he can do for him to be reincarnated again into a similar war. He doesn't want to die, or maybe he make the wish as a winner of the DGP before he got reincarnated to have all his memories when he got reincarnated or something like that. We do not know what is this, but this is really crazy stuff here, because if S is not kind of like a product of the wish of DGP, if he is actually a reincarnation of himself from the past, then this is gonna be really insane. Okay, like this is just a theory. I'm not sure how to actually follow up on this, on how to actually make sense of the theory that I have just given, but this is another possible theory on where does S actually come from. And lastly, let us talk about the Jyamato, because the Jyamato in this episode is insane. So many things that we know about the Jyamato. First thing, we know that Shiroe is able to become a human and become back his root self like all over, and he can change his uniform just by looking at a clothing and just putting it on himself. And he is not the only Jyamato that can actually do that. Two other Jyamato rider behind Rook, behind Shiroe, can also do that as well. So we are not sure who are these two. I believe these are two riders that we never met before. So this is crazy, because not only that we see that Shiroe is able to transform into human again and back to the Jyamato form, but we also get to see that the breeder is not actually only in a greenhouse, but in fact he is on a wall full of plants, full of this Jyamato vegetation all over the planet. And this actually gave me the idea, what if this is the Helheim forest taking over the world? It never stopped. What if Helheim forest never stopped and it just keep on going and keep on going and keep on growing until it enveloped the entire world? And this is one of the future one of the possible future where we see Kamen Rider game never existed. And a lot of us actually mentioned that when we first saw the Jyamato forest, the Jyamato breeder area, we actually gave a similar comment on how it looks so similar to the Helheim forest. So what if this is just one possible dimension, one possible timeline where the war of Kamen Rider game never actually being like the forest managed to spread until the entire war or something like that. So this is like all the rest of the humanity on Earth itself was being like, they, in order for survival, human adapt to become Jyamato, and that is the birth of Jyamato, something like that. Maybe that is the case, maybe that is not, we are not sure. But another thing that we know for sure is that the ID core is the key ingredient to create stronger Jyamato, because they still have the desire. All the data of the human is stored inside the ID core itself, and they have the desire. The stronger the desire, the stronger the Jyamato is gonna be. So this is really interesting. But we need to talk about Buffa, because in the next episode preview, holy shit, S is gonna meet with Buffa next episode, and S is gonna be like, the fuck are you are still alive, how is that possible? But let me explain. Okay, Buffa actually got a forced entry with his broken ID core, and he managed to beat the shit out of a Jyamato rider using his pure fist. That is so unrealistic, because the first time when we saw Jyamato Rider, it's like they cannot even defeat the Jyamato Rider, and now Buffa can beat the shit out of a Jyamato Rider in his best form. That is really insane. But I felt like Buffa did a major mistake by actually using the Jyamato rice buckle on himself, and I felt like because he does that, his body is gonna slowly succumb to the virus of the Jyamato, and he's slowly gonna transform into Jyamato, and maybe by the end of the story we are gonna see him becoming the king of Jyamato, or should I say maybe like one of the Jyamato champion, something like that. That is gonna be really crazy to see, but I'm really excited to see where they are actually gonna bring Buffa, because we never actually got a story like this where the rider actually joined the dark side unwillingly, and now he has a choice to become a good guy or to become a bad guy. We are not sure how the story is gonna go. This is really interesting. Like Buffa actually became, but if you watch Squid Game, there's a police officer that actually managed to infiltrate the Squid Game. Right now, what Buffa is doing right now is becoming that police officer. Like, he is the perspective that we follow to find out what is actually behind the scene of the DGP itself. We are gonna find out what the hell is the Jyamato and how can he actually kind of like manipulate the whole entire thing into his favor, or maybe he's gonna find out the truth and then he's gonna make a decision whether or not to fight as a rider or to become a Jyamato himself and stop all the rider. This is gonna be really insane. But that is all from me about this episode preview. Next episode is gonna be insane, like I said. S is gonna meet with Buffa, but that is not the only thing. Keiwa is gonna go all out once more with the ninja rice buckle. We are gonna see some cool ninja tycoon shit, so look forward for that. I'm really excited for that. But that is all from me. Hope you enjoy, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Subscribe if you haven't.